I'm curious, like, what do you think kind of motivates you to want to do all these things where you're not relying on somebody else's or an employer, basically?
That's a good question. I think I don't necessarily do it so that I can be free from the 9 to 5. I know that's kind of a big propellant for people. I just love creating, right? So creating in terms of graphic design, creating in terms of businesses, something that wasn't there before. I have now created it. I just love being able to explore what it takes to create things. It's kind of like filling an itch, right? Filling an itch that I have to create something new. For me, once you kind of create something new and it's there, it's no longer new. Like, I gotta create something new.
Yeah, this man a fiend. So y'all got any more creation? Welcome everybody to episode 14 of the Paul and Pals podcast. I'm your host, Ponyboy Paul, and Paul and Pals is a podcast where I interview my creative pals to know how they became who they are today to inspire you for tomorrow. On episode 14, I have a creative conversation with my pal Steve Elugbemi. Steve is a graphic designer who's actually founded 2 of his own startups, Elu Studio and Legacy MMG. And really the whole goal of it is just to help other businesses, nonprofit organizations, kind of design their brand, logos, flyers, events, all that stuff. And I personally wanted to interview Steven because we actually grew up together, since we both moved or migrated from Nigeria, both at the young age of 5 and 6. And I really wanted to just kind of highlight, why he is who he is today, because he's always kind of inspired me by just his persistence and willingness to just learn everything and kill it, So without any further ado, let's get creative.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How's life, man?
Life is good. It's going. COVID time.
You know how it is, man. Where you talking to us from right now? Where you at?
So I'm in Southfield, Michigan.
Southfield.
For those that don't know, it's a little 30 minutes
Michigan
north. Is this the right hand? It's like, no, is it this one?
Yo, wait, hey, yo, this man don't even know.
I'm 30 minutes north of Detroit. For those that know Detroit.
There you go.
So.
But no, I'm happy to have you, man. You were actually, when I was first kind of thinking about ideas and guests for this show, you're actually one of the people that I had on my guest list last year. So I'm glad we can make it work. But yeah, let's let's get it started, man. I think before we get started, let's actually talk about how we met. So for those that don't know, I actually came to the United States when I was 5 years old in November of 2000. And I actually asked my mom the other day, how do we don't know Steve and them? And she was telling me how a family friend had told them in 2001 that you guys were here, something like that. And then we went to visit you guys as a family, and then our families clicked, and then, we've been boys since then. But I think one of the fondest memories from our youth was when we used to hang out in my basement, and I had one of them Fisher Price. WWE. And then I had one of the Fisher Price little basketball hoops.
Oh, the basketball.
And I remember
Peter was so cold. Oh my God.
I remember you was always doing too much, bro. And I remember you were trying to you were trying to dunk it so hard, and you ran into the wall and fucked up. Remember that? You fucked up your whole cheek.
Oh my God, I remember now. As soon as you said it, I felt the pain in my cheek.
That mark is still in my wall to this day, bro.
Is it really?
Yeah. I remember your mom was so mad. She's like, Benga, how did you do that? So, yeah.
You know what? That's funny. I forgot all about that. But
I can't, bro. I see it every time I go downstairs, right in front of it, right in my wall. But but let's get it started, man. I'm happy to have you once again, and I know you have a really, really cool story to tell. With your creativity, we're gonna get there. But kind of, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start your story? How you came to be, all that.
I mean, there's a lot of places I could start, but the place that I really first started with graphic design was when I was 13. I was on this online game called IMVU, IMVU.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically just a bunch of preteens getting on this chat software, and people would deck out their profile picture with these cool graphics of their character.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dang, that's really cool. So I asked this one dude how he made it, and he told me about this software. And I just started playing around in there. I didn't know it was graphic design.
Yeah.
But I would start doing that for people, and they would give me virtual coins. And then you use virtual coins to buy virtual clothes. And it was sick. It was sick. But that was like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And you know, it kind of translated as I got older into more legit things, you know.
Got you. So that's 13. That's, you know, before high school. You're thinking of college, I'm assuming. So when you were kind of getting ready to like further education, was that always in the back of your mind, like I'm gonna pursue this graphic design thing? That's really what I want to do, or like, what was that?
Oh nah, not at all.
I
came from like, you know, I got Nigerian parents. I didn't even think of that, you know. Like I said, when I started doing it, I wasn't thinking like, okay, I'm doing this graphic design thing for this virtual coin. It was just, I'm gonna just do this because it's cool. So I didn't even know it was a profession until I got to high school, or like late high school. So I was always wanted to be I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I was like, scale that down. Wait, engineer.
Why though? What made you want to, like, where did that come from?
I think I've just always had this like curiosity for the unknown. And I think it kind of translates now. I'm like I'm an avid learner just because I like exploring things that I don't know. So like space is like the ultimate unknown, right? So that was what that was for. But then I looked at the, you know, the practicality of being an astronaut.
Yeah. The practicality, or you told your parents, they were like, "What the fuck is an astronaut?" Is that practicality? Trying to be serious.
You know what? To be fair to them, they were actually supportive of the astronaut thing. Just because, I mean, it wasn't like I told them I wanted to be a painter or a graphic designer.
Hey, you're offending all the painters watching, bro.
No, I mean, you know, now I paint. I paint virtually, you know, so
that's dope.
But yeah, you know, I kind of, the path to becoming an engineer was kind of always set from that point on.
Got you.
And it just kind of, it just happened to be.
That's nice. And then, so you did mechanical engineering, right? That was, or some.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And then with that, did you kind of like, because we haven't said where you actually work yet, but like, because now I'm thinking, okay, you know that engineering is a little bit more practical, but during this time, maybe through high school, college, were you still trying to like, man, I really want to follow this passion or at least interest of mine, and kind of how are you navigating that in college?
You know, to be honest, and I'll walk you through. So like in high school, I was, you know, I really put a lot of faith in my parents, and they really wholly supported the engineering route. So to be honest, the graphic design thing never really came across to me as a possibility for something that I would do. I always just saw it as a hobby. And I never really thought that you could make something that you like to do or something you're passionate about the same thing that you make money from. So it was always just separate. And but when I got into college, I started making flyers again for organizations on campus. And you know, I was charging like $10 per flyer, you know, so it wasn't like I was rolling in dough, but
trapping.
But I was just, it was a kind of like an aha moment. Like, I like actually doing this stuff. It feels like playing video games, to be honest. But I'm making money. So it's like, oh, you can make money and have a good time. It felt like I had a cheat code or something, you know what I mean? So I just started doing it more heavy, started learning more, watching people on YouTube do it. And, you know, just started making a little bit more and more. And, you know, just kept enjoying it. So
yeah. And kind of going back to that first flyer, right? Did people already know, like, hey, that's Flyer Boy, or that's the man that makes flyers, or like, how did you first promote yourself enough for people to take you seriously to actually pay you?
I think it really goes into the campus life. Like the campus, I went to Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti. Shout out to anybody from Eastern on the call. Out Eagles. Man, the campus life and the support for, you know, Black organizations and people in organizations is just incredible, man. Like, I did not do any promotion myself. So I was doing, you know, free flyers, obviously, for ASA, the organization I was a part of. And anytime somebody asked people in the organization, who does your flyers, they would just say, yo, Steve does it, hit up Steve. And then somebody would, you know, a random person would hit me up, hey, can you do a flyer for us? I'd be like, yeah, I can, but I have to charge you.
Oh.
And they'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, oh, they said okay.
No, it's true. I mean, worst they can say is no, right? So that's
Right,
that's
yeah. And you know, I wasn't doing it. If I had all the free time in the world, to be honest, I probably wouldn't, would have done it for free. But, going through a mechanical engineering course, it's like, most nights I was either studying or partying.
Hey.
And I didn't want to be doing flyers, but, if I had the opportunity to do it and somebody was going to pay me, I would do it. So.
Okay, that's dope.
It kind of worked out.
And I like a good point there. You mentioned ASA, so that's African Student Association for those that don't know. And we kind of talked about this when we were like kind of preparing for this. And it seems like one thing that's kind of really helped you and boosted you, your name in your community is this network. You know what I'm saying? So were you kind of always like the outgoing, like I want to be in the scene, or did you just kind of feel comfortable in that community that you felt that, I can like tell them who I really am? Like, how did that kind of...
Oh yeah. That's a really good point. I never thought of that, but I was never really outgoing, like not outgoing at all. But when you're surrounded by people who are supportive of you, they do the work of of someone who is outgoing, and they kind of bring that out of you. So whenever I'm around, I was around ASA, I was really outgoing, and another organization I was a part of is called the Poetry Society. Man, anytime I was around Poetry Society folks, I was like in my bag. Like I felt like the best I could be. Yeah. And I think people could see that, So, you got people who are in your network that are supportive of what you're doing, and they're, confident in what you can do, and they're spreading the word for you, and you feel confident in that, and you're doing the same thing, man. The network is powerful.
Yeah, it's key, man. It's key.
Powerful. Yep.
And I actually didn't put this in the promo kind of caption, but I know that you were involved with it. I just didn't know to what extent. So you mentioned the Poetry Society. Like, where did that interest kind of come from? Because I remember, I feel like you were really into it. You probably are still into it, but where did you kind of feel like that interest came from?
It's complicated, man. I saw shout out to Darius Simpson, this really powerful poet, international poet, to be honest. He did a poem for an ASA show my freshman year, and I saw him on stage, and he just presented himself in this way that was like it's like, not to be on this dude too much, but it was powerful,
It's good to show love.
No, man, and I give a lot of love to Darius because he really inspired me and encouraged me after that even. But I saw him on stage doing this poem, and I'd always kind of liked poetry, but I wanted the poet's persona. So I joined the organization, and I think I gained a little bit of the persona through it, but I think the best thing I gained was the network. And we definitely still, are together to this day. Some of the people I'll talk about later on, my business partners, were in the Poetry Society.
Yeah.
We not to we ran the EMU's campus, man.
Oh, okay.
In our own way.
Right.
And people knew who Poetry Society was, and that was key to developing that network.
Okay, that's funny trying to imagine poets running the campus.
Yeah, it's a game, bro. It's a game.
And I'm kind of curious about that because I don't think I actually know anybody that's really into poetry, or at least that well. Like, kind of take us through that. Where did that interest come from? Like, did you always have it? Or was it college or what?
I think so. One of my favorite artists was Wale, also a Nigerian, but he's very poetic in his way of rapping. He's a rapper, but he does a lot of poetry too. And I just love the way he uses words to describe anything and everything. And I was just always drawn to, like, it's like magic, You can paint a picture with words, and people will feel what you're saying, not just hear it. So I always thought that was powerful, and I kind of wanted, like I said, I kind of wanted to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. I think something that's pretty consistent in me is that I'll see something that I like, and I'll be like, okay, how can I learn how to do that?
Yeah.
And then I just follow whatever path I find to be able to do it.
I always used to notice that, man. I felt like you've always been very, like, I'm just always seeing you kind of posting what you're doing, and I've always thought that was dope. Like even, you know, I know your dad kind of, you know, has his own church, and you were always involved with the music side of it and the kind of production, and you were doing the piano, the drums. So like, was there a point in your life where you realized that if you want to do something, you can just go do it, or did something happen to you that made you realize, oh, it's not that hard to learn?
Uh, I wish there was some moment where somebody told me something that clicked, but I think I just always, you know, I've just always been able to. I've never had the fear of trying something new, and I think that is what kind of enables me to try new things. And I'm not special. I don't start doing things and immediately I'm an expert. Same with graphic design, but I suck for a long time, and I keep doing it because it's fun to learn new things.
Yeah,
And then at some point, I just get decent,
that's dope.
or good. So.
That's a message, man. We all gotta. It's hard sometimes because like I think with trying new things, nobody is really telling you. For the most part, nobody is telling you that you can't do it, right? And
Right,
I think
right.
what sometimes used to mess me up is that I would see somebody doing something that I want to do, and they're already dope at it,
Yep,
and then I
yep,
try it, and I'm just doing it for the first time, and I'm trash.
yeah,
So it kind of
yeah.
demotivates me a little bit. But it's like this
Absolutely,
continuous, like, how do
absolutely.
you like? So how do you kind of keep yourself motivated when you're like when you're
Oh
struggling to
man,
do something?
that's good, man. That's really good because I'm not always motivated to do those things. When I start looking at experts for too long, I get demotivated, unmotivated to continue. So like for graphic design, I stay off Behance. Um, believe it or not,
Mm,
most professional designers are on Behance, Dribble.com. That's where they showcase their work in these beautiful portfolios, and you're side by side with these super professionals. So your work increases or your quality increases just because you're next to these giants. But
mm,
I stay off of it myself just because I know that that is an unmotivation. Seeing how good somebody is already at something
mm.
does not motivate me necessarily to be better. But seeing somebody who is incrementally better than me motivates me to get there, and then
Got
I
you.
can
And then
then
you
be
compare to
next
that
to somebody
next.
else
Got you.
and continue that way. But if I look at an expert, man, and believe me, I've fallen into that trap a lot of times.
Yeah.
You just like, damn, I really suck.
People look at your art like, damn, I'm
Like
trash.
trash.
No.
Nobody told me this.
They was hyping me up, but then damn.
Gassing
No,
me.
but no, that's I like that. I like that the way you go
Manny
about
said
it.
booty cheeks.
No, I like the way you go about it. And I kind of want to learn more about your getting serious with your graphic design because you mentioned business partners, right? So can you
Mhm.
kind of talk about the orgs that you started that are solely around your graphic design business?
Yeah, yeah. So, coming off of senior year of college, or no, it was junior year of college. Um, so two of my really closest friends from the Poetry Society, Mercedes and AJ. Shout out to them. AJ is my mentor, and Mercedes was my mentee in the organization. We just came together. AJ did websites. He did programming.
Mm-hmm.
And he started doing websites on his own. I started doing graphic design for organizations. And Mercedes was just like this dope salesman, man. She could sell anything to anybody. I don't care. And
Yeah.
so we just came together, and we just decided, let's make this a thing. Like, let's make it legitimate. So we formed Legacy MMG. We had this little brainstorm session for the name, the logo, and this one night I can remember it. And we just decided, we were gonna reach out to as many people as we can, set up a website, set up, all the things you do when you start a business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we started doing that. We reached a lot of people with Legacy. We reached a lot of people, a lot of businesses. We focus on websites and basically everything that startup companies would need to get going and to create a face for themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really cool because we were meeting people at their beginning, and we were perpetually being inspired to continue because we
Yeah.
were meeting people with such energy. So it was amazing, to be honest.
That's dope. And I kind of relate to that too. I think with me, starting this podcast, I still feel very new. I'm still learning a lot, and the people I'm interviewing for the most part are probably people that haven't really done an interview, right? And I think what's
Hmm.
really dope is that we're all kind of motivating each other to kind of
Hmm.
like, I don't know, to get where we are today. So I think I kind of relate to that. But you kind of just mentioned that y'all were like had a good idea to be a business, and then y'all made it. But like, did y'all know how to make did any of y'all have business experience? Like, what was the really like, I don't know, the catalyst to actually make it a thing?
Um, hmm, no, no, we didn't.
No.
I think we were we didn't have any. I didn't have any clue. Mercedes might have. Um, her family has experience with businesses. Her dad and her mom have businesses of their own, but I think we never really discussed that as a barrier or a challenge. We just said we want to do this thing, and let's just figure out the best way to do it, how we're
Mm,
gonna do it. So we just Google is there.
yeah.
You can look up anything online. You can find out how to do anything. I don't care what. You can find it online. So we looked up how to set up the LLC.
Mm,
Looked up how to create like a business plan, how to do the structures or a business structure, and you know all that stuff. We looked it up online. There's templates for just about anything. So
gotcha.
we started with that and then just fine tuned it. Went on.
And being that you guys are actually like close friends, like y'all know each other for real, has there like what's been like so maybe I don't know if there has, but has there been some things that you guys have had to overcome, being that you guys are friends, but you're also working together and making money?
It's a good question. I think the tough thing is having a structure, right? So when you have strangers who come together to make money, there is no precedent for how to operate when we get together. But with friends, it's like, usually when we get together, we're kicking it, we're laughing, we're having fun.
Mm,
So you kind of have to get past that and be able to get down to business. And that's something that we're just always learning. Or we continually had to develop and adapt to.
mm,
But it is tough, when it comes to that. I think it's good that we were as close as we were though, and we already kind of had a structure set up where AJ was my mentor, I was Mercedes' mentee, so there was already that structure in that form set up.
mm,
But we were also close enough that we were able to be dynamic and change how we operated. Mercedes led a lot of meetings early on,
mm.
and it never had to get too rigid
Yeah,
because we were so close.
but you guys still, yeah, it didn't have to get too serious, but you guys are still like operating the business as it should be, right?
Right, right.
And so that kind of leads me to the question. So I remember asking you, I'm like, yo, like, so legacy is still a thing? Because I don't think I remember, I wasn't seeing as much, social media activity, right?
Yep,
And then I was
yep.
seeing a lot from your own kind of your personal thing, the Elu Studio. So can
Hmm.
you kind of explain what that is and then why you decided to kind of go off and do your own thing?
Yeah. So when I first started doing this graphic design thing, I started as ELU design, and that was just kind of a sandbox to just play around. It didn't have to be anything specific that I had to do. It was just whatever I felt like doing, whatever I felt like would be motivating and inspiring to me. So I kind of decided that it would be good to still be able to have something that I can play around in. It didn't have to um, follow a specific business plan. So legacy, I think legacy has a certain potential, right? And we kind of about 2019 or 2018, Mercedes left Legacy. So it was just me and AJ.
Mm,
So we started just like realizing that we needed to focus Legacy on things that were more scalable. So graphic design is very not to say it's not scalable, and sorry to anyone in here who's a graphic designer, but you know being able to build something that will give you continuous returns.
mm,
Graphic design is a service, and it will always be a service, and it can support things that will build and give you returns. But
mm.
when you talk about like programming and being able to develop something um, through programming, that's something that can continuously give you returns. but where graphic design is more of a service. So I didn't want to just leave graphic design behind. Like I said, I'm super passionate about it. So I created this thing that can continue that for myself. I can still play around in it, and still operate as a business, of course, but be more free to do whatever.
Yeah.
And allow Legacy to be able to grow in that scalable way. So that's where that kind of came from. I've always had it in mind that there would be a lot of businesses that I'd be a part of. And that that's starting to be a problem because I'm in so much now. But it was never really a problem for me to kind of branch out and do that too.
Got you. And then I kind of want to touch on Legacy one last time before I get a little bit more into your own thing. So you mentioned you wanted to scale it up because I think, let me summarize. So you guys were more of kind of like a marketing / branding agency for different businesses. Is that correct?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Got you. And then, so what did you guys want it to be? Like, what was your goal of the scale?
See, it's tough to say because I think if you're an engineer, so you're probably familiar with the sense and respond methodology. For those that don't know, it's basically in the past people would say, this is what I'm gonna make, and this is the business that I'm in. Buy it whether you like it or not. Where in the sense and response methodology, it's more like you get a feel for what the market desires, right? What the demands are, and then you supply that. Now the feel that you get, you want it to be more analytical. Obviously, you don't want to just say, I feel like people want popsicles and then make popsicles. You want to use market research and data to drive that decision. But that's the kind of approach. So it's not strict and rigid to a goal that we had, but we do want it to be. We talked about wanting it to be more like an intellectual property company where we're able to sell products of this intellectual property that we're developing.
Yeah, y'all kind of switched it all up. Okay.
Oh yeah. And and I think of course, in the development of that, we'd still be able to use graphic design, whether that's to create user interfaces for whatever this thing is, and obviously the programming is going to be needed to develop this thing. But kind of instead of using our skills and selling our skills, we would use our skills to build something that we could then sell.
Got you. Okay. I fuck with it. Can't wait to see what y'all got up. And now I'm still working on it.
I'll be just as surprised as you are.
You said that sounded good, but shit. But yeah, so going back to a little bit now to the ELU, what you kind of doing on your own. I'm kind of curious, like how you've kind of grown, because I think I remember when you first starting, it was more like flyers and maybe logos, but now I've seen you kind of doing like videos and animation. Like, so take us through this path of like, how are you continuing to optimize and just grow within that?
There's no optimization, to be honest.
I'm trying to big you up, bro.
No, I gotta be real. There isn't a structured optimization, to be honest, yet. And I'm focusing on optimizing now, but I haven't focused on that in the past just because I've been so inundated with so many projects. And all these projects are, they're amazing, and it's great because I get to give people this creativity that I have. I get to develop this creativity that I have and have fun doing it the whole time. But I don't get to be optimal because I'm so focused on doing the work. So that's what I'm focusing on now. But in terms of the types of projects, they kind of just come. And like I said, it's kind of like that network thing, right? Yeah. So it started with these organizations that I was a part of, but as I started to service more people, more businesses, more people in the community, if you do good work for people, they will, profess your name to other people. And that's something that I'm so grateful for people, like, to be able to recognize that I put in work and I try my best to give more than was paid for, if that makes sense, or give more than was promised, as a sign of good faith. Like, this, I'm not doing this just to make a dollar. It's because I really I believe in the people that I work with, and I believe that, they believe in themselves. So I try to give them my best, and so they can get the best. And then they typically will go on to let people know, like, oh, this guy was, did really good work for me. And it's not just about the design. I'm not naive enough to believe that I'm the best designer in the world.
Hey, you gotta talk your shit sometimes, bro.
But no, I mean, I do the best that I can. But I think the most important part to any design process, whether it's designing a car or designing a flyer or anything in between, is being able to be adaptable as a designer. Mm-hmm. So usually you have two types of designers. One is just, you tell me what to do and I'll do it for you, bro. Like, just pay me, tell me what you want, and I'll do it for you, bro. And then you got the other type that's like, give me the money, shut up, don't say nothing, and I'm gonna just create you.
Okay.
I'm gonna just create you the best. But and I don't think that is the best. I don't think either of those works out best for anybody. Mm-hmm. I think the best process is to, come up with the concept and then discuss, how is this doing for you? Sense and respond, right? Kind of get a feel for what people want, and then design towards that. So and I think that's been working.
I noticed that too, because I know for one of the ideas I had I don't remember what time, like last year sometime, I had hit you up to help me make this logo, and I remember like being so not even surprised. I don't know what word I want to say, but like I was very impressed by like how y'all did it. You know what I'm saying? I told you what I wanted to do. You hit me up. You sent me a contract. You sent me all these emails. I'm like, oh, dang. I thought I was just going to hit up my boy, get a logo. And it was dope because you kind of sent me, like, I think 3 or 5 samples. And I'm like, it's all right, but what about if we do this? And you went back and you did it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I think that really speaks a lot of to what you do. And I hope anybody listening that has any interest is willing to reach out, which I actually want to, big you up for the raffle prize you're giving away. You kind of want to speak on what you're giving away?
Yeah. So it's a custom hoodie design. Shirt design is something that, or merch design is something that I've been kind of getting into as I work with brands and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something that's cool and anybody can kind of tap into. And then also for people who have a business, flyer design, business design.
Gotcha. So they can ask for anything, or you gonna have limits? Like, I know it's free, so I ain't trying
to. You know what? I put it out there. I'm not gonna go back on my word. Okay, it can be any.
So we'll see what the lucky winner says. He's like, bet.
Oh, I want you to design world for me.
No, that's dope. I appreciate that, man. And another thing I've been seeing lately that you've been kind of posting about is this rich digital, and I'm still not sure what it really is, and I was wondering if you could kind of break that down, let us know what you've been working on.
Oh yeah. So this is a partnership basically. So Rich Mag Digital is a magazine at its core. It's a magazine for people of color, by people of color. But it's also a really dope concept, and what drew me to it, and I didn't develop this concept. It's been in the works for a few years now by a gentleman by the name of Shayla Richmond, really dope individual, also from Eastern Michigan, back to that network thing. And we've been working as on a client relationship basis. And he kind of just hit me up one day and said, I'm putting together this collective, and we want to make this initiative into a real thing, and I want you to be a part of it. So we jumped into that. So the concept is really cool. At the core is this magazine, right? But it has a bunch of arms. So one of the arms is is Rich Mag Digital. Sorry, the core is the Rich family, and it has this magazine that speaks to the people about what's going on. But then one of the branches of that is Rich Reaches Out, which is a nonprofit that basically it's the point is we talk about what's going on in the community. We talk about all the issues going on. We shouldn't just leave it at that. We have, the power to do something about it. So Rich Reaches Out touches on the stories that we report about. and we lend our money, our hands, whatever we can to try to fix the problems we're reporting on. There's also a few other aspects that I don't know if I can talk about yet.
Okay.
I didn't hit Shayler up about this, but there's gonna be something. I hope he's not on here though. But no, I mean, I'll talk about it without talking about it. But it's one of the concepts that, or one of the businesses, and all of these have their own separate LLCs. But well, the one that I'm most integrated into is a company that will support authors, basically authors of color. So be on the lookout for that. Follow my pages, follow ELU design, or 3 years seconds.
I don't even know it's on it.
No, follow Elu Studio on Instagram, and follow Rich Mac Digital on Instagram, and especially if you're an author, follow Rich Mac Digital, and if you're anyone, follow Rich Mac Digital.
If you're anyone, if you're a human, if you breathe,
if you got skin, follow Rich Mac Digital. Just for stories, but the initiatives that we're kind of starting and trying to enact really have heart and support behind them, and everyone on the team kind of has a reason, a why. So the people who are directing Rich Reaches Out, they have serving the community at their core, and I love volunteering, but that does not really mesh with all the things that I do. Engineering, graphic designing, but I still support. But the people who are leading that front, that is what they do. And this initiative that I'm talking about is coming out soon.
Okay.
That speaks more to what I do, and that's why Taylor and I are kind of spearheading that. But there's a bunch of other things, so definitely follow that, support, and really support this dude. He is really doing a ton of work. I don't often join things that I didn't create myself.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was important to do this.
I might have to reach out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of stood out to me when you were explaining, why you're with them and why you joined, you said something about spreading the news in the community, lending or helping out or getting out awareness, but also doing action. And I wanted to ask you about that because, kind of like me, we're both Nigerian-Americans, right? That duality of our experience. And I think one thing that I was kind of struggling with recently was with the recent, ENDSARS protests in Nigeria. I felt so helpless at times because I was truly wondering, what is the best way to actually help something that you're maybe related to or connected to, but you're not actually there to actually help, right? Obviously you can spread awareness, you can share on social media, but we all know social media is only social media.
Yep.
And I'm kind of curious, and you can talk about Rich Mag or kind of your current experience with ENDSARS. How have you kind of dealt with being a Nigerian-American and, trying to help out? Like, what have been your thought or your processes? I'm kind of curious just for my own knowledge.
Okay, so I think I think you hit it right on the head, right? Social media gives us this double-sided sword, where on one end you have this super powerful tool to engage in whatever is going on anywhere in the world whatsoever, like somewhere you don't even know, you've never been to, you've never seen. You can find out what's going on right now, right there, no matter what you're doing. And it makes you feel empowered, right? But then on the other side of it is you are still a million miles away and you can't physically do anything. But you still have this tool, right? So you can still, for example, put pressure on people psychologically through social media, through emailing, through letters. I'm not a big fan of sending email to politicians, just because if they have any team that's capable enough, they could probably have them automatically send those to spam if they wanted to. And I'm sure a lot of them do, but
did I get anything? Nope.
No. But even if it is just going to spam, if you got a million messages in your spam and it's clogging up your email, you're gonna get the attention. It's gonna get your attention.
Yeah.
So it does give you some kind of power. So in terms of the ENDSARS movement, man, terrible, terrible thing. I think any Nigerian who, was experiencing that, or any Nigerian who is familiar with what goes on in Nigeria, wasn't surprised by ENDSARS, but or the police brutality and the SARS movement, because it has been going on for a while. But it is still, one thing to know about it and another thing to see it, especially live. Some of that stuff that was happening was crazy, and it's similar to the the protests in the U.S. that happened. As soon as the George Floyd video came out, nobody was unaware of police brutality. No one was unaware that police were killing Black people. But seeing the video really, that solidifies it. There's no mistaking it.
Yeah.
So I personally believe the best way to act in situations like that is to put pressures on the people who can make a change. And we don't have voting power, for example, but we can spread awareness to people who do have voting power. We can put pressure on people who have the power to, make change and hope for the best, I guess.
That's really it, man. I mean, you can really I think it's going to be a continuous concern on our minds, and we think about it, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are experiencing it. You know what I'm saying? They're going through it day in and day out. So I think awareness and then sending bread, if you can, is really the
absolutely
the best way. Oh, I think you might be paused on mine. Are you paused on yours? I think you said you left. Oh, but let me try to add you back. I think.
Okay.
Gotcha. We lost you for a minute.
Okay, I'm back.
Damn, they don't want you to talk about SARS, bro.
Buhari was in his castle. That Nepa must go.
But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I was trying to ask you, kind of touching else on the Nigerian-American duality, is kind of like, because you mentioned like you wanted to do all these businesses, or you might currently be doing all these businesses. I'm curious, like, what do you think kind of motivates you to want to do all these things where you're not relying on somebody else's, or an employer, basically?
I think that's a good question. I think I don't necessarily do it so that I can be free from the 9 to 5. I know that's kind of a big propellant for people. I just love creating, right? So creating in terms of, graphic design, creating in terms of businesses, something that wasn't there before. I have now created it. I just love being able to explore what it takes to create things. And that just drives me to continuously make more. And when I kind of feel like I have a grasp of, this business, for example, we had a really good structure at Legacy, and we have developed a goal. It's like, okay, let me create something else. Let me go into something else that I can kind of, it's kind of like to filling an itch, right? Fulfilling an itch that I have to create something new, and once you kind of create something new and it's there, it's no longer new. Like, I got to create something new.
Yeah, this man a fiend. So y'all got any more creation?
And it's I love that I am that way. Sometimes it's a lot, like I think we were talking the other day, I would find myself, especially during quarantine, man, I would wake up in the morning and I wouldn't leave my desk until like midnight, and I look up like, oh shit, I haven't eaten all day.
Damn, I felt that though.
And it's rough. It's cool, like it sounds cool, like, oh, you got all this stuff going on, but it's rough. I don't think anyone was built to work 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to learn that. So I'm focusing on optimization so that I can still fulfill the itch, scratch the itch when I can.
Yeah.
Without killing myself, basically. Like my mom will call me sometimes and she'll be like, Steven, did you eat today? What did you eat? And I'll be like, oh yeah, I just ate rice. And I get off the phone like, damn, bro, you gotta eat.
I'm hungry as hell. No, I feel that, bro. Yeah, sometimes, and I'm working on that too. I think I'm always struggling, like, to the thing that quarantine has really taught me that I'm really bad at is that consistent structure. You know what I'm saying? I just lost my Duolingo streak. I was tight. I was
Oh
about to be
man,
100 days,
hurt.
but like,
Sick, bro, sick.
I thought I was fluent. But like the thing about consistency is that's what really drives performance and success. And like I'm
Absolutely.
curious, like how have you? Because you have to deal with a lot. You know, I think you might still be in. I think you're in school, right, for masters and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're balancing business, school, work, and I'm curious, like, what are some tips that you have, or what have you been kind of doing to keep yourself consistent?
I hate failing. I hate failing, and I think that's for one. I hate failing. Um, I started the master's program a few like 2 years ago, and there's so many times I felt like, damn, this isn't even worth it, man. I could get this done. I could get certifications. I could not get certifications. I know how to get to the position that this master's degree is gonna get me into, but it's like I've already started. I'm not gonna have wasted that, and I'm not gonna see myself as a failure. So I'm gonna continue it. And don't get me wrong, I still love what I learned in my master's degree or in my master's courses. Um, but I think the driver behind that is more like an achievement thing,
Mm,
and it's just like an achievement mindset, which isn't necessarily good all the time
yeah.
to have. But consistency in terms of lesser things, I would say, is to just kind of get into habits. Um, so one thing that helped me when I was studying in school and even now for tests is that the rule of 13. If you repeat something 13 times, it is embedded in your memory.
Mm,
So I do that all the time with anything. If I have to remember a date 13 times, I
that's
say it
it.
and I got it down. And you'll kind of notice after 13, your brain will automatically want to keep going.
Mm,
You might stop saying it, but your brain will keep saying it like another 4 times.
yeah,
And then after that, unconsciously, your brain is probably saying it too, and that just it kind of sticks into your brain.
gotcha.
And the same goes for habits. There's the habits of what is it like 3 months or something like that? If you keep something going for 3 months,
3 months? I thought it
it will
was
be
21 days.
21, something
You
like
got
that,
some
right?
super habits, yeah.
Uh,
You got another level. No,
no,
but
but yeah, it just I just try to keep it going and make things a habit.
yeah, okay. I like that. I like the 13. I'm gonna try that. I gotta get back to 13 days on Duolingo, then we'll see. We'll see. We'll
You
get it
got it,
popping.
man. You got it.
And kind of, I know we're kind of wrapping up here. And one thing I was kind of curious about is you got all this stuff kind of going on, and I'm kind of curious. Like you love creation, and I'm kind of curious. Are you willing to share? Maybe is there a big kind of big goal that you really have that you're kind of working towards right now, or you kind of just taking things piece by piece?
There is a big goal. I think it's always important to have a big goal.
It's when they trying to reveal the secrets, spill the beans.
I think it all surrounds creativity.
Okay.
I think creativity is the key for me. I've just found that creativity is the key to everything. Like if you want to have a little bit of fun, add some creativity to it. So I'd like Elu Studio, Legacy, whatever it is that I'm a part of. I would like for all those things to mesh and become one agency, one company that is serving all these things and allowing and enabling people find their creativity. Um, Creativity is literally in everything. I hear engineers at work saying, "I'm not creative," and it's like you creating cars, but you're not creative. The
You
math
better be
ain't
creative.
math. Somebody got to be creative here. Um,
Yeah.
and but they are creative. It's just the way and the perception of creativity is more artistic, right? But
Mm,
you can be creative in anything. You have to be creative, otherwise you're doing what's already done. You're never gonna solve problems. It takes creativity to solve problems, to kind of spark the mind and keep you engaged. So
mm,
I think long term it's gonna be this a company that is serving people who need creativity in their life.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the big goal for that. So we're working towards that every day.
Hey, bet, man. I'm gonna keep in touch. I'm excited for that.
You do, man.
And as we kind of wrap up, and I gotta let you go in a bit. I kind of wanted to ask, kind of based on your experience, your life, all the stuff that you've kind of shared with us. What are some words of advice that you'd like to share with the audience listening that's really helped you become who you are today?
I'll give it on two fronts, I guess. The first one, like I said before, is to under promise and over deliver. No matter what it is, don't ever say you can do something that you don't think you can do, because people remember stuff like that. You know, they remember promises, and disappointments linger in people's minds. So if you over deliver on anything that you promise, people remember that too, and they remember you as that person that over delivers, and they'll always keep you in mind for projects, for initiatives, for companies. You know, when your boy is out here about to develop the next Facebook, he's gonna be like, dang, I need somebody I can trust. They're not gonna go with that dude that was like, oh, I'll pick you up at 6 tomorrow and then forgot. They're gonna call the dude that said, I'm gonna pick you up at 6, and they showed up at 5:50. Yeah. You know, that type of thing. That's for anyone, anywhere, with any goal in mind. But for people who are business oriented and want to develop things, develop that network. That's I'm still trying to do that myself and increase that. But just get to know cool people doing cool things. And even if it's not for them to give you an opportunity, just to be inspired by them, get yourself a good network.
Mm-hmm. I like that, man. You dropping some jewels today, bro. He came ready. He said, yeah, you thought I'm a poet, remember?
You thought I was playing.
You got a whole poet behind the phone, just like, yeah.
Y'all didn't even hear the entendre, the double entendre that was in there. Y'all didn't.
He said, under deliver but over promise. Like, what? No, man. No, I really appreciate you, man. I'm so proud of you.
No
I think,
doubt,
you know, growing up together, it's really beautiful to see what you're doing. You know, I'm really excited about it. I know you're gonna do bigger things. So I think.
Likewise, man. Likewise. I'm really proud of this. Like seeing this develop, man. I watch all your episodes, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate
and
that, man.
I can't wait to continue watching and see it grow. I'll be like, I know that
nigga. Man, no, I appreciate it, man. But I think it's cool. I really want to highlight the people that I know that are doing dope things because. One, I think it's gonna help you keep doing it because you understand that you're doing something. People are seeing it, and I think I also want people that are listening that might relate or are kind of curious to, you know, feel free to reach out. But also, I just try to do your own thing. Just start it and see what happens, man. So, I'm gonna let you go, and appreciate you, bro. And we'll chat after this, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem, bro.